Hey guys, Tom here doing a rare video. Wow. No, I'm going to be doing a review on a knife that I got a week ago. I was going to wait 2 weeks and then do the review, but after a week, it's all I need to form a really strong opinion on this blade. And for most of you guys know that when I do a review, it's usually on knives that I like, that I've been anticipating on buying. I've done research on the knife, scoured the interwebs as they call them, and just to find out about the knife before I buy it. And I don't buy a knife if I don't think I'm gonna like it. And I had a little bit of money come my way, and I wanted to buy a couple of knives, or at least one knife. I was actually thinking about getting a Griptilian full size, but I decided, okay, well, let's kind of back off, get a couple of knives instead that I've wanted for a while, like lower end knives, and just get them in the collection and form an opinion on them finally after a while. And one of those knives has been a cold steel, and that was the American Lawman. This knife here. So I've been waiting for this knife for a while. I've been wanting this knife forever, and I just never pulled the trigger on it because I've been buying Spydercos and whatnot, other gear, and I decided to pick this up, and also a SOG, and I'll discuss the SOG in its own separate video. So first impressions with this blade is that it is a beast. It's not heavy, but it's solid. It's a solid knife with a really heavy spring in this triad lock, the hardy snap, and we'll discuss this portion after. But basic specs is it's a lock back with triad lock instead of the blade and the lock mechanism coming in contact. There's an actual stop pin in there, and the blade comes in contact with the stop pin. This is extremely well engineered lock, just unbelievable the amount of thought that went into this lock. So if you want to go see the fine tunings of this, go check out the Cold Steel's website and you can see a diagram on it. AUS 8/8 steel, full G10 handle, no liners. I'm not sure if the backspacer is G10 or if it's their like Kraton or whatever they call it. But pocket clip, very nice pocket clip, and it's all obviously blacked out. And very cool though. Very cool knife. Really light. I believe it's it's probably around 5 ounces. I don't have the exact info on this knife, but I'll post a link to Cold Steel's website below, and that'll have all the product information on it as far as length and all that stuff. But it is off the top about 8 inches with a 3-inch cutting surface. So very nice. Good blade size for me. I like a 3 to 3.5 inch blade, ideal for me. So, as of most people. I'm just going to talk about, I'm not going to get into fine details on this knife because there's lots of good reviews out there as well. I'm just going to do my thoughts on this knife, my opinions on it, and not get into all the details of the materials and all that stuff. I will get into detail about the blade steel, but that's about it. First things first, that I noticed is this knife is super comfortable. It's very nicely shaped. It's got a nice choil for choking up on, which is very comfortable. You can move back on below this. You got a nice finger groove here, and also the reverse grip is very comfortable. Lots of room for your thumb. Not that I'd ever use a reverse grip, but if you wanted to, if you needed that for your work or whatever, that would be it. So you can just see the lines of this knife are really, really clean, and it's very nice. So this is the Mannix. So it's very similar to the Mannix as far as handle shape. Obviously not the same, but it's just... Sorry guys, my memory card filled up, so I got to switch memory cards. But you can see it's very comfortable. I actually find the Lawman more comfortable in hand than the Mannix. Now that I have them kind of both, I've been using this. This is a very comfortable knife. Well, we won't get into full details on other knives, but it's a very comfortable knife. I don't have another knife in my collection that is as comfortable in hand as this Lawman is. And to get out on the comfort side is the G10. Now, people saying this G10 is really aggressive. Yes, it's aggressive. Does it hurt your hand or anything? No, not really. It's not like sandpaper. The only thing I did do is I taped off just a little bit of portion underneath where the pocket clip touches, and I sanded it down just lightly, and it goes into the pocket very smooth. This pocket clip is one of the best pocket clips out there, in my opinion. I absolutely love it. Very, very nice pocket clip. I really did a good job with it. It sits nice and deep, and I find that kind of that peak and then down, the pants kind of just bunch a little in there, and then it really like adds some security. It's a very, very great clip. I think personally that it's one of the best out there in my experience of pocket clips so far. So just a quick side note, you have the two sides here, for the two different pocket clips, because they do include two different ones. The screws that come with this knife are both these ones, this side and this side, they're different lengths. These screws are a little bit longer to accommodate for the thickness of the pocket clip, and these ones are a little shorter so that they don't have to accommodate the thickness of the pocket clip. If you lose these screws, you can't screw the pocket clip on with these screws. So just when you're taking the knife apart, don't just take the screws out and say, I'm never going to use these again, and throw them out or lose them, or because then you'd have to get another one ordered, and that would just be a pain in the ass. So aside from that, that's the only little weird quirk to this knife. Everything else is super solid. The opening and closing is awesome. It's really smooth. It sounds like it's like a tough knife to open, but it's actually very, very smooth opening. There's a huge set of washers in there. The knife does snap shut very, very quickly, and I would not recommend one-handed closing this knife like you can do with the Endura, because you have the pocket or the hole to put your finger in to offer you some security, whereas on this knife you don't. And I learned that the hard way, and the blade closed my finger here like so, this one, and the blade chopped down on it and busted me right open. Went pretty deep too. Hurt. It still hurts. My knuckle hurts. You can see it there. It's just healing up, but it's a very odd cut. Handle G10 ergonomics, pocket clip, awesome. Great lockup. The pivot screw does tend to loosen, so I do recommend some Loctite in there, because right now I have some side-to-side play and no up and down. I don't think this knife will ever develop up and down play, but I gotta Loctite it and tighten it. It's come loose a few times. I'll give that a hit on the pivot screw. It comes just loose enough that you get some side-to-side. So Loctite is a definite yes for this. This AUS 8 steel. Well, we'll talk about the blade finish first. So as you can see, it's got this paint coating. It's just paint. There's no special... This is a week's worth of cardboard cutting and some actual chopping on a 2x4. Well, not a 2x4, sorry, it's a piece of plywood. It's half the thickness of a 2x4, so it's like, you know, that thick. I chopped one of those all the way through with this knife, and it was still hair shaving sharp after. I'm not even exaggerating on that. I didn't believe it myself, and it was pretty wild. Pretty wild. I couldn't believe it. And here on camera, I'm gonna actually ruin more. So, just to give you an idea how easy this stuff comes off, this is a Swiss Army screwdriver. Let's not do it that way. There. You know, it's no DLC coating. It's not gonna hold up. It doesn't hold up at all. Like, it's such a stupid thing. Like, why would they put that on a knife that is gonna be like military use or whatever? It's just, it's gonna wear off right away. But however, underneath this coating, the blade is stonewashed. So if you want, you just strip the paint off and you have a beautiful stonewashed finished blade, which I will be doing. So that I look forward to. Now, here's another quirk about the handle of the knife. Now, a lot of guys were saying that this pocket clip, or sorry, the thumb stud was a screw and you could just screw it in and then back it in and back it out. So I was trying to do that, but this actually really sucks and is hard to do. It's actually not a screw, and it doesn't pull through, and it's two pieces, see? So just an FYI, if you're trying extremely hard to turn one side and it's not doing anything, you gotta pinch this side and unscrew it and then just flip it around. Or if you want, I'm sure you could wave modify it, which would be kinda cool too. So when you're doing the paint strip, you can just actually take the thumb stud completely off and fix it that way. So, alright. But back to the blade steel is what I'm kind of trying to drive at. Normal AUS-8A steel, I've never been really thrilled with it. It's pretty good. It's not amazing, but it's, you know, it's pretty decent. Ontario Rat 1 has AUS-8 steel and it holds up pretty good. But this, however they treat this steel over in Taiwan, it is out of this world. Jay Davis compares this to being better than Spyderco's 154cm, and I couldn't believe that those words came out of his mouth. But this steel is actually better than Spyderco's 154cm, which is kind of screwed up that I'm saying that, being a huge Spyderco fan. But the steel holds up amazing. Like, I was chopping away at wood for 5 or 6 minutes to get through it. It's hard, obviously, with a folder. You kind of have to hold back and then just chop. But it made its way all the way through, and it was still shaving sharp after, which I couldn't believe. And there's no rolls, no chips. Just the only chips were coming off the paint, and that's it. So very, very impressive. This knife, I love it. The only thing I don't like is you can't flick the blade out, and it's dangerous because it's got such a heavy detent from that big spring, that big triad lock that you have to push out. It's dangerous. You gotta open it up and you gotta think about it as you're doing it. It's not a knife that you can just pull your pocket like a Spyderco and just get your thumb in or get your index finger and just flick it out with no real, thought into it. As long as your finger's in that hole, you know that you just have to flick it and it's open. You can't do that with this knife. It's dangerous, as I learned the hard way. It's a calculated opening knife. You got to think about what you're doing, because you don't want this blade snapping shut back on your hand. I'll get you It just comes down and still it cuts paper. It's, you know, it's sharp. It's sharp and it's strong. A normal knife just kind of falling back in wouldn't snap through paper. It's got a detent, so you got to be careful with what you're doing with this knife. I'm sure all the other triad locks are the same, but this is my first cold steel and definitely not my last cold steel. So I know this was not really a knife review, just more of my opinions on it, but I seriously give this knife a 10 out of 10, and it's going to be my EDC for a while because I know I'll be able to beat the crap out of this knife and it'll still be awesome. So I'm really impressed, cold steel. I thought your knives were gimmicky, but they're not by far. There, more play. Your advertising may be gimmicky, but your knives are quality. At least, you know, your 3 folders there, the Lawman, AK, and the Recons. There's some serious knives. And this one's comfortable as hell. I love it. Alright guys, that is all. I'll splice my 2 videos together so that there's kind of a weird interruption in the middle there, but who cares? And my dogs are barking, so that's a good sign to sign out. So take care guys, and have a good one. Hope you enjoyed the video. If there's anything that I can let you know more about this knife that you want to know about, just send me a PM or put a comment on the video. Alright guys, take care. Peace.